In this section of notes, we're going to only look at the populations of Southeast Asia. We'll look at the human characteristics, kind of a brief look at the people groups that are there. We're then going to look at the population growth of the region, the population distribution of the region, and how urbanization is occurring, and then also how people are actually moving out of this region. Populations, human characteristics. The cultural geography of Southeast Asia is as varied as its physical geography. There's got a lot of variances, and we're going to see a lot of diversity as time goes on in these notes. The indigenous peoples, these are the peoples that were here first. Humans have lived in Southeast Asia for tens of thousands of years. Almost 2,500 years ago, groups of migrants came from western China and eastern Tibet, in this area here. Came in from western China and eastern Tibet, and they moved into this area. The Khmers, as we'll see later, settled Cambodia and Vietnam and Myanmar. And again, we'll get to the Khmers later, but just know that they settled Vietnam, Cambodia, and Myanmar, which later came to be called Burma. The Malays, check this, probably couldn't figure this out, the Malays settled in Malaysia and eventually into parts of Indonesia as well. These indigenous peoples developed agricultural civilizations and borrowed from other peoples without losing their own identities. They weren't afraid of borrowing ideas, but they kept their own cultures. The Indian and Chinese influence. Valuable spices grown in Southeast Asia drew outside traders to the region. New ideas spread with this trade of these spices, and this blended Southeast Asian traditions, as we'll see in the culture set of notes. Hinduism and Buddhism was introduced, as well as the East Asian idea of glorifying kings and political leaders as spiritual leaders. This was known as shamanism. So Hinduism and Buddhism, as well as shamanism, blend into this area, and a lot of these Southeast Asian peoples start to grasp ideas that we saw with East Asia. During 1,000 years of Chinese rule, the Vietnamese adopted China's writing system, Confucian traditions, and China's system of government, which we'll get to that in the next section of notes. We also see some influence from Islam. During the 1200s, Southeast Asians, especially those in port towns, because that's where the trade was going to be taking place, began to convert to Islam, which was the religion of the traders that were coming over. Over the centuries, Islam spread from coastal areas to the interior areas of the Indonesian islands and the Malay Peninsula, kind of this insular region here. Especially in Indonesia, terrible circling job, there we go. Especially in Indonesia, we're going to see a lot of Islamic influence because of the trade that came in from the Middle East, from the west here, came into this area, and then it's going to spread into the other areas of Indonesia, and then it's finally going to start to make its way up into Malaysia here. Today, Muslims are the majority. They form the majority religion in this area. Then I want to look at Western colonization. Europeans sought new sea routes because of the available spices of the region. Spices led to the demand for colonization of this area. Latin Americans who came into this region for trade introduced chili peppers, which added new flavorings to the food of Southeast Asia. Population growth. Most people live in the fertile river valleys or the coastal areas, which you can see that on this map here. Population density. The population density varies widely in this region. For example, Singapore is one of the world's most densely populated areas, and it's one of the smallest countries in this region as well. Population density of around 17,155 people per square mile. So it's kind of an exception because some of these other areas are not going to be as densely populated. But Singapore, as we'll see later, is a great trade choke point. Growth rates. The rate of natural increase for this region is 1.6% per year. 1.6% growth per year. The world's growth rate is about 1.3% growth per year. So, this region of Southeast Asia is actually going to be higher than the growth rate of the world. Countries like Singapore and Thailand are working to slow the growth rate because they know they're going to have to provide for these people, and they also see the problems that China is having with an abundance of population. Now, the location of cities themselves, which you can see on this map, are located around access to water. And if you're not on the coast, these major cities are located next to the rivers, kind of like Mandalay here in the northwest, Vientiane, Chiang Mai. These cities, the major cities of this region that are not on the coast, are along the rivers. And then urbanization. Again, urbanization means people moving from the countryside into the cities. For centuries, most people lived in rural villages. Because of political conflicts, government policies, and also greater economic opportunities, people moved from the countryside into the cities. The Philippines, in the beginnings of the 1900s, had 80% of their population in the countryside. Today, they have less than 50% of their people living in the countrysides. In some countries in this region, there is a single major city. This leads all other cities. This one single city leads all other cities in attracting people, resources, and commerce. This is known as a primate city, or an urban area that serves as a country's major port, economic center, and oftentimes its capital. Some examples of that in this region are like Bangkok, China, which you can see that here on your map, and also Jakarta, Indonesia. These cities are the most important cities in these countries. Outward migration. Since the 1970s, many people have left Southeast Asia because of turmoil. Some examples here. 1975 to 1990, thousands of people left Vietnam and its oppressive government. Since the mid-1970s, many people have left Laos for the same reasons. In 2000, there were 955,264 Vietnamese people located in the United States alone as they were getting away from Vietnam. There are 176,148 Cambodians in the United States and 331,340 people from Laos in the United States. So you could take the example of the United States alone and the amount of immigrants we are getting from this area, and that'll point to some of the problems that are going on, which we'll talk about those problems in the History and Government section.